Cody Silva of Locked On Oklahoma State. The Pokes are in this hunt for one of the top teams in the Big 12 in the transfer portal right now. They're number 5 per 24/7 as it sits with 37 commits. Before I talk about the success of transfer portal recruiting in this class with Mike Gundy, I want to ask you, is there a need after a 3-9 year for complete overhaul of your roster?
I think you could make the argument that it makes the most amount of sense. And I think that's been an indication by the number of guys that we've brought in. That's not typically what Mike Gundy likes to do, right? He typically likes to build from within, have guys here for 3, 4, 5 years. But after a 3-9 season, he understands that the landscape has changed a little bit and you're in a must-win now scenario because I don't think we're done with realignment. Is it going to happen next year, in the next 2 years? Who knows? But we do know that you have to stay within the lens of viability. And if you have another 3-win season, you're not going to be in that. And then Oklahoma State's in a very precarious situation. So I understand the sentiment that we're going to spend more getting acquisitions in the portal than we are retention of players because, Drake, last time we came up with a lot of NIL to retain players, Ollie Gordon, Nick Martin, the offensive line, all of them, Kendall Daniels, it didn't work out, right? So whenever you have a 3-win season, after investing heavily in the returning guys and it doesn't work out, this is naturally where you have to shift. And I think directly pertaining to Justin Kirkland, when you bring in somebody like Demarion Thomas, who started the last 13 games at Vanderbilt, and if anybody paid attention, Vanderbilt actually had a legitimate football team this season. That is a massive acquisition, and he's a little bit bigger than Justin Kirkland. He has the capability in the weight room pretty comparable to Justin Kirkland. So clearly, there's going to be some positions where we felt we needed to upgrade, and you have to understand that as a 3-9 season. Do I love it? No. Do I think this hurts some of the connection of the players that you did grow up, seeing develop over the years? Yeah, a little bit, but it doesn't matter if we win. Mel Tucker proved you can do it with a completely transfer-ridden roster. So did Deion Sanders. So did Arizona State to some degree. There is proof in the pudding. Mike Gundy is just following that model now. And I think the number of transfers and the guys that we're getting shows that there's a lot of excitement in Stillwater this season, regardless of the turnover.
I think my big question with this, and it'd be hard for you to answer, but I want you to try to give some foresight that I don't have, is in the case of Deion, he goes 50 players, 25 players. He starts to shrink his portal classes the longer he's there as he begins to consider, hey, now we're starting to build continuity. Right. Mike Gundy had to hit the reset button. The administration effectively told him, hit that reset button, clean house, and try harder. Otherwise, it's your job on the line. Is Oklahoma State in a cycle where they're going to go 40 portal guys, 20 portal guys? Or do you think that Mike Gundy is going to revamp his entire mindset and just go heavy portal year in, year out from here on out?
Well, this is a results-driven industry, and I think it's going to be based on the results, right? If he turns this thing around and say we go 9-3 next season, then clearly what he did worked. So do you have to do it again next year because you overloaded on a bunch of senior-level transfers? It's very likely. But I do believe that the same way he always felt like through development, every 3 or 4 years, Oklahoma State compete for a Big 12 title, so on and so forth. That might be the same approach. Every couple of years, we're going to have the availability of a lot of returning guys, and we're not always going to have to load up on the roster. But once again, if this thing works like gangbusters and you have a bunch of drafted guys from this season, then you're probably in a repeat scenario the following year, because the one downside to getting the Todd Granthams of the world is they're likely only going to use Oklahoma State to get a better job, and nobody can fault them for that, just like what Jim Knowles did. If you take Oklahoma State into a top 3 defense nationally, then you're getting the Ohio State, the Michigan style of jobs. And I think we're okay with that. But Mike Gundy hasn't been okay with that throughout his career. This is kind of a new thing for Gundy to understand. Just bring in the best guys that recruit the best way, that can bring in the best talent. And if it works out and you have to continuously rehire, so on and so forth, it's going to be okay in the end.
I think if you're looking for a Big 12 comparison, the closest I can think of is Dave Aranda, who was on the chopping block, wasn't going to make it, was taking 10 guys in the portal per year. And after a 3-9 campaign, the administration said, look, reverse it or you're fired. And the way he reversed it was with taking a much bigger, I should say, portal class and then winning 9 games at Baylor last season. That's effectively what Mike Gundy has to do. Now, it's not apples to apples. Aranda's only been there for a handful of years. Gundy's a legend, but it was that same aspect of, you've really got to hit the portal hard. Otherwise, your job is on the line. I'm not sure that's the Big 12 culture. I'm not sure it's Oklahoma State's culture they want. In my mind, I want your opinion on this. I'm going to make a statement and then get your response. Iowa State, Kansas State right now, even BYU, they are at the Arizona State are at the bottom of the Big 12 in transfer portal rankings. They're not taking big classes. They're not taking a ton of talented guys. Reason being, they've already got them. Iowa State doesn't want a huge transfer portal class. They just want to do what Matt Campbell does with high school players. Is that the ultimate goal for Oklahoma State? It feels like the best teams in the Big 12 are sticking to their guns.
You would think so, because that's been our bread and butter for years. But again, it didn't work out last year. So this is going to be a case study over the next couple of seasons. When you return 20 returning starters and you bring back 85, 90% of your roster that just played for a Big 12 title game against Texas the year prior, and it completely falls flat, then that means you have an obstacle somewhere. It appears as though that obstacle was coaching, and that does seem pretty synonymous around campus. Is the coaching is what became complacency, and complacency equals laziness, right? And that's what you saw. So I think ideally, yes, so places like Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, you really do still need to cut your teeth on development. Are you going to be good in the transfer portal? Yeah, but are you going to have as much money as the big spinners? Never. Right, Oklahoma State's never going to have the Texas style of money. We're never going to spend $40 million on NIL. So we have to make the most of our opportunities. So I think you have to grab some guys in the portal that can fill gaps, but you still have to pay attention to the developmental guys. But the kicker there, Drake, and you and I both know this now, that if you bring a guy in and he's not really contributing heavily in 2 years, you're unfortunately probably moving on. So I think it's going to separate the teams that have the ability to get the most out of coaching, which is why I do appreciate this staff.
The leash is short for players and coaches today in college football. That is just it's short for everybody, because you can be replaced like that from a fifth-year senior from Western Kentucky who was an All-American in the AAC. Coming up, why is Utah the most hated fan base? Are they the most hated fan base? This is a Locked On Big 12, Locked On Oklahoma State crossover. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Why? Look, dude, I'm 24. The whole money thing's like a mystery to me. I just opened my account. I'm like, where did it go? Monarch Money actually helps me not lose track of that, because with your own personal CFO, Monarch Money, you can have a complete financial command center that gives you complete financial command to stop managing your money, start building your wealth. When you use it, you have very keen, detailed insights with convenience and easy collaboration with partners. You can set goals, stay on the same page without stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com, 50% off your first year. Monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Do that now at Monarch Money.